See if you can spot what these 4 things have in common: the military, CrossFit, gangs, and tech companies in the 90s. Did you get it? Okay, the answer I was looking for is bootcamp, but I'll accept any of the other words people use to describe a really intense initiation or hazing ritual for onboarding new recruits. Now, it's hard to think of any large organization that prioritizes efficient operations more than the military. So why do they invest all that time and money getting drill sergeants to bark orders at new people, pushing them until they all walk the same, look the same, and fold their shirts the same? It's not just about discipline, order, or ironing. These intense shared experiences at a bootcamp are incredibly effective at building trust, breaking down barriers, and creating the kind of shared identity and vocabulary that makes teams stronger, especially in high-stress situations. And that's why since around about the 80s, big companies have adopted that bootcamp method for initiating hundreds of new people with catchy slogans and confetti cannons to boot. But if you fast forward to 2024, the bootcamp approach isn't really working anymore, at least not for everyone. Nearly half of employees believe that their organization's onboarding processes are inadequate for remote workers specifically. And that's a problem because the stakes for effective onboarding are high. Companies with strong onboarding processes improve new hire retention by 82% and productivity by over 70%. So this is an important problem. How do we initiate a team of global remote workers to form that level of cohesion and trust, like a military team? If your role involves onboarding new remote workers in any capacity, this episode is all for you. You're watching Out of Office, the world's least boring source of remote work news. We explore the issues that affect global remote workers with a healthy dose of sarcasm and a side of pop culture memes. I have to take a second to let you know that I checked our viewership stats a few days ago, and I was floored to see that this series has now been seen by 40 million people. How's that for episode 68? Okay, back to our main topic this week, which is onboarding. Military-style boot camps used to be really effective for corporations, but the closest remote workers like you and I will ever get to a battlefield is a tense video call. And our weapons are keyboards and passive-aggressive punctuation. So anyone trying to replicate boot camps for remote workers pretty much has to pick from one of these options. A lot of companies have tried to replicate their multi-week in-person boot camps digitally, but Zoom fatigue kind of deflates the spontaneous fun stuff. And as soon as time zones get involved, trainers end up having to schedule more sessions or make people attend in the middle of the night, so not ideal. Other companies fly everyone to a central location, and this can be great for building connections and rapport, but who can afford it in this economy? Not to mention, the logistics are incredibly complicated, and it just raises the cost of failed hires, and some people might not even be able to attend because they can't get a visa, or they gotta look after the kids. All of which just kind of undermine the whole point of getting together in the first place. So there's got to be a better way. Enter async onboarding. Now, I am the world's biggest fanboy for awesome documentation and self-service knowledge hubs that everyone can explore when they need it, completely asynchronously. But here's the issue. How many PowerPoints does it take to feel like part of a team? Self-guided training materials are super helpful for process information, but not so much for culture and engagement. Onboarding should make someone feel like part of a team and inspire them to do the best work of their life. So even a perfect knowledge hub just isn't enough on its own. Next up, one-on-one training with a manager or peer is personalized, and it offers immediate feedback, but it's labor-intensive and can drain team resources. Now, that hasn't stopped 1 in 3 companies from going down this route though. One study found that 35% of companies are spending $0 on training, which is a stat that only sounds efficient to people that do not know what they are talking about. Now, there are a few other options like outsourcing to a third party, and there will probably be new AI-powered options in the near future, like a virtual bootcamp that feels more like a cool immersive game than a dull Zoom grid. But those are less common and certainly less proven. So at least for now, those 4 options are it for most companies. And none of them are perfect for remote workers. So what do we do about it? How do we solve this problem? Which we should, because let's not forget those stats I showed you earlier. The cost of doing nothing is very high. So that rules out option 4. And for many companies, option 2 is just too damn expensive and complicated. So most companies end up with a hybrid of option 1 and option 3, using video sessions to inspire and engage, and then the self-service portal to inform and educate. It may sound simple, but often the most important things are. The best onboarding programs balance efficiency with human connection, ensuring that new team members are not only well-informed, but also feel a sense of belonging from day one. By implementing both live sessions and self-guided learning, video sessions get to be a whole lot shorter, which really helps with the Zoom fatigue. And by not cutting them out entirely, you solve the problem of isolation, where your Knowledge Hub does a great job of teaching, but a lousy job of building connection. The perfect balance on all this is going to vary from team to team. So make sure you seek feedback from participants to just make sure they're getting what they need. Or you can measure their engagement and you'll soon see for yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. If you have an onboarding horror story or success tip, share it in the comments or tweet it straight at me at AndrewAllenXO, because I love a good horror story and maybe I'll respond with one of my own. That's all we've got time for this week. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Andrew Allen, and the future of work is out of office.